frankly speaking, we are anywhere, be it a mall or be it a highway, be it the hills, we find a spot and we use it.
Relieve yourselves.
हाँ
Yes.
और मतलब कहानी भी है कि बब्बर शेर खुले में मूतता है.
एडोलसेंट गर्ल्स के साथ बात करना आसान हो जाता है, यंगस्टर्स के साथ बात करना आसान हो जाता है, लेकिन जब आप माओं से बात करते हैं तो बहुत सारे टबूज और मिथ्स तो वहीं से आ रहे होते हैं, तो वो कैसे मान लेंगी कि ये गलत है.
गवर्नमेंट ने यही तो करा है. गवर्नमेंट ने सेव वाटर की वजह से टॉयलेट गंदे बना दिए ताकि जो आधी औरतें हैं जिनको प्रॉब्लम है टॉयलेट की, वो टॉयलेट जाए ना तो पानी बच जाएगा. लाइक you see, like there is a lot of planning that goes with it. इस बात को समझो.
And mostly for a women toilet there is a male sitting over there, not even a female. To answer
One, there
that,
should be a female attendant.
Why not?
Can you like emotionally feel all of this?
Of course.
Because I'm trying really hard, but नहीं समझ ही नहीं आता.
you really need a social experiment. Let's get that cramp belt and make him wear that.
Yes, I
and
think-
make him experience what do menstruators go through every 5 days of the month.
Right.
भाई 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 लग गई पकड़ा गया पीते हुए मान. भाई 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 लग गई गर्लफ्रेंड ने लिव-इन से दिया निकाल. सरकारी कानून ढुल्लों की मार, लॉयर की फी और टैक्स से हलाल. करा देना मामला एडजर्न्ड.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Adjourned. I am Anshul Chaudhary @ Better Call Chul. Today we are here to talk about SWACHH Bharat mission. We're going to talk about toilets in India, the situation at hand, the present status as claimed by the government कि India अब साफ है नहीं है, and we're going to get a lot of perspectives from our panel. We have with us Ashna today in a very different role. You've been here as in a limited role as a lawyer, once as a criminal lawyer and once as a matrimonial law
Family court
lawyer.
Anshul, you're a lawyer, so you should be knowing about these things.
But today you are here in your unlimited capacity as a woman.
That's right.
And welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me, Anshul.
You're very welcome. And we have with us Farheen today. Farheen is a social entrepreneur and a menstrual educator and founder of an organization called WeTheChange. Welcome to the show, Farheen, first of all, and thank you so much for coming. Tell us about WeTheChange a bit. What do you do?
Thank you so much for having me today. WeTheChange is a social initiative by Purani Dilli Walon Ki Baatein, and this has been co-founded along with my brother Abu Sufyan. WeTheChange specifically talks about menstrual health, hygiene and menstrual waste management, and we run a lot of campaigns for the menstruators pan India, and we are also thinking to expand ourselves in different countries of the world.
Into different countries in the world.
Yes.
But aren't the other countries slightly far ahead, or the situation is as grim as it is here?
If you go to the ground, the situations are quite similar because there are refugees coming from different countries, and for example, we are going to take up a project in collaboration with an organization in South Africa that work with marginalized communities and adolescent girls and boys specifically. So yes, they need the support, and we want to educate them and aware them about menstrual education.
More power to you. I think that's a very commendable job that you're doing. Something that has traditionally been looked down, and with more education, with more awareness, people are identifying that half of the world has this as a natural biological process, and it's not a problem in the first place. So
Yes.
it's commendable the work we're doing. More power to you.
Thank you.
मुद्दे पे आते हैं. आज का मुद्दा है शौचालय हिंदुस्तान के, और उनकी गंदी हालत या उनकी अच्छी हालत वो आप बताएंगे. आई थिंक जो हिंदुस्तान के शौचालय हैं, दे आर अ बिग प्रॉब्लम फॉर विमेन, एज नॉट एज मच एज मर्दों के लिए वो नहीं है, बिकॉज frankly speaking, we are anywhere, be it a mall or be it a highway, be it the hills, we find a spot and we use it.
Relieve yourselves.
हाँ.
Yes.
और मतलब कहानी भी है कि बब्बर शेर खुले में मूतता है. But the problem with the females, the problem with women is slightly different. What do you actually suffer from, and when does it begin? Does it begin before you get out of the house, or it's more about now you are in a place जब आपको सोचना नहीं पड़ रहा, but the problem is about the toilets, or both?
I think it's both. क्योंकि it's not just about कि अगर मैं अपने vicinity की बात करूँ तो अगर मैं अपने घर से बाहर निकलती हूँ, so even then I won't find many toilets for women, first of all. But then I would really like to refer here that PVR Nest has come up with a wonderful initiative by the name Pink Toilets. And Pink Toilets are the toilet facilities for women, which are not just toilets, hygienic conditions or trained staff, vending machines, clean toilets, water facility, electricity, well light atmosphere within the toilets, and they run these toilets from 8 in the morning till 7 in the evening, and even the staff there is females to accommodate the problems and the situations of the women, because if there is a woman who has periods and got to know on the street and doesn't have a sanitary pad, they may go to these toilets and get the facility of having a sanitary pad.
And this is by PVR,
PVR Nest,
the cinema chain.
Absolutely.
So these toilets are exactly how a toilet should be. like the pink toilets are exactly how a normal toilet should be in India. However, there are just like a handful of them which are operating for a certain time period. Like they're not operating after 7 p.m. And I think that is pretty pathetic on our part to not have toilets.
Absolutely.
and to call these toilets and to term them as pink toilets. I mean, this should be the norm, right?
Yeah, they are called model toilets, if I'm not wrong. इसको model toilet कहते भी हैं in general terms on news. From what limited knowledge I have about the pink toilets, इसको model toilet कहते हैं, and मॉडल शायद इसलिए नहीं कहते क्योंकि ऐसा होना चाहिए, बट बिकॉज शायद एक ही ऐसा है या दो ही ऐसे हैं.
I think they have 20 such toilets within Delhi.
Okay.
And they are mostly located at the areas where they have markets like Lajpat Nagar or all those areas, Karol Bagh and all those areas where there's major footfall of women coming.
Nice. So अब 20 टॉयलेट हैं और दिल्ली की पॉपुलेशन 20 लाख नहीं, मतलब 20 लाख से बहुत ऊपर 2 करोड़ के करीब कहीं जाती है. इसमें अनडॉक्यूमेंटेड अभी गिने भी नहीं जाते हैं. हाउ डू यू गाइस फील व्हेन यू आर स्टेपिंग आउट ऑफ द हाउस? लेट्स से आपको यू गोइंग ऑन एन आउट स्टेशन ट्रिप. Ashna, I'm sure you've been on an out station trip.
Yeah.
Is it a stress already beforehand that you know कि अब तो मेरे मतलब बस गया है मेरे अंदर कि मेरे को पता है घर से बाहर
पानी मत पियो, खाना मत खाओ, क्योंकि because what if I have to use a loo which is in a pathetic condition? And you talking about a field trip, this happens the moment I step outside my house, because I mean that is as good as a field trip for me, because I might have to find a spot just like you guys, which is again, I mean the toilets in India are in a pathetic condition, and we don't need to tell you that. Everybody, everyone already knows. Now you
actually,
as men,
the government claims that
you as men, I mean they could claim a lot of things, but those things are not really implemented, or those things are not happening, right?
और हम अभी भी privileged जगह से आ रहे हैं.
Exactly, you as men can find a spot and relieve yourselves, but what if you want to go for number 2? Do you think the public toilets are good enough for that?
No, I dread it.
How do you even find a spot for something like that? You can't.
Well,
Right.
I think open defecation is the answer कि कर लो यार, मतलब
because
ऐसा नहीं है ना कि
since we are living in 2 BC, right?
That's the situation 2022 and India has already क्या कहते हैं come a long way.
तो फिर स्वच्छ भारत अभियान का क्या हुआ?
आएंगे, उस पर भी आएंगे. स्वच्छ भारत अभियान एटलीस्ट एक्नॉलेज करता है कि हाँ स्वच्छ होने की ज़रूरत तो है, क्या कहते हैं माहौल को थोड़ा स्वच्छ बनाने की ज़रूरत है.
Definitely.
Historically we have been on the back foot. Although 5000 साल पहले हड़प्पन civilization में they had a model, a very model underground sewage system.
Yes.
And from the reports it says that the situation was very much there जहाँ पे everybody was comfortable. Then time traversed, Mughal rule हुआ. Mughal rule में पहला toilet कलकत्ता में बना, but क्योंकि उनके पास मेंटेन करने के लिए लोग नहीं थे, सफाई करने के लिए टूल्स नहीं थे, इट वेंट टू वेस्ट. देन द ब्रिटिश रूल केम. द ब्रिटिश रूल, द टॉयलेट्स वर ओनली मेंट फॉर द प्रिविलेज्ड वाइट मैन, जिनकी कोठियों और बंगलों में क्या कहते हैं टॉयलेट होते थे और उनको साफ करने के लिए एक हरिजन होता था. और यही होता था क्या कहते हैं एक टॉयलेट का लिमिटेड रोल सोसाइटी में. आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस ऑल्सो टिल 1986 देयर वाजंट रियली अ पॉलिसी जहाँ पे टॉयलेट वाज लुक्ड एट समथिंग इम्पॉर्टेंट. एंड इट्स फनी क्योंकि लाइक इन व्हाट वर्ल्ड अ टॉयलेट इज नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट.
Right.
It's as important as breathing. It's as important as clean water. 1986 में पहली बार भारत सरकार ने टॉयलेट का रूल बनाया, but that did not work because it was solely demand driven. And उसके बाद और भी मिशन आए, नेशनल सैनिटेशन मिशन आया, CUSP आया, टोटल सैनिटेशन कैंपेन आया. There were drawbacks of infrastructure. There was a drawbacks of lack of education for people to understand कि क्यों एक टॉयलेट में जाके टॉयलेट करना ज़रूरी है और खेतों में जाना ज़रूरी नहीं है. एंड टुडे वी जोक अबाउट द फैक्ट कि खेतों में करके आते हैं
because of the state of the toilets.
यस. बट 2014 में पहली बार भारत सरकार ने आइडेंटिफाई करा, थैंक्स टू द प्रेजेंट गवर्नमेंट एंड द प्राइम मिनिस्टर हु हैव कम अहेड एंड आइडेंटिफाइड स्वच्छ भारत मिशन, विच इज़ अनप्रेसिडेंटेड ऑन अ स्केल. दैट अवेयरनेस तो पहली बार आई कि स्वच्छ भारत मिशन ज़रूरी चीज़ है. नेशनल लेवल पे टॉयलेट को एक आइडेंटिफिकेशन मिली. हैज़ द सिचुएशन चेंज्ड फॉर यू फ्रॉम 2014 टू 2022? अब 8-9 साल पूरे होने को आए हैं. डू यू फील मोर कंफर्टेबल विद द आइडिया ऑफ स्टेपिंग आउट ऑफ द हाउस विदाउट वरिंग अबाउट द फैक्ट कि अब मेरे को बाहर क्या कहते हैं टॉयलेट यूज़ करना पड़ेगा?
No.
I don't think so.
That's a very definite no. Like ऐसा लगता है कि ये हंसी भी ना दर्द के पीछे है.
I mean,
Because nothing has changed for us.
yes, nothing
Nothing
has-
at all.
Nothing
Nothing
has
at
changed
all.
for us. Because even in today's state, in case I want to go to the loo, I'm going to find the nearest mall, or I'm just going to go to one of these showrooms and I'm going to request the person over there, could I please use the loo because of the conditions. And Anshul, nobody says no. Nobody says no because they already know that the condition is so bad and she has to go to the toilet, so let her just use my toilet even though it's staff only and it's not allowed. I think there is a big issue regarding sanitation because there is only a caste. Unfortunately, it is a caste thing in India. हरिजन ही साफ करेंगे toilets को. So I mean I clean my own toilet at home, but initially I had employed my maid to clean the loo. And when I asked her कि आप मेरा loo भी साफ कर देना please, मैं आपको उसके मतलब बढ़ा दूँगी वैसे आप जो
Naturally.
she took offense to that. She said I will not do this. I don't do it. She said हम नहीं करते, उसके लिए कोई और होता है.
कोई और होता है.
So it is mostly a caste thing in India कि अगर आप हरिजन हैं, अगर आप वो वाली कास्ट से हैं तभी आप ये वाला टॉयलेट साफ करेंगे. अभी जब भी हम अर्बन क्लैब से लोगों को बुलाते हैं,
अर्बन क्लैब वो ब्लास्टर टेक्नोलॉजी से आपका टॉयलेट चमका देता है.
exactly, but the people who are doing it, I don't know if this is true or not, but as per my experience, they belong to that caste.
Majority of them, no doubt about
Yes.
that. No doubt.
Which
about
is
that.
also a pathetic situation because if you consider this a caste thing, then I don't think your toilets will ever be clean because even those people from that caste do not want to be identified as such.
True.
Naturally.
So
And I think Gandhi ji played an important role in emphasizing कि sanitation is important. And उनके model village का जो vision था उसमें toilet was an important part
Part of it.
there.
Yes.
Do you guys ever suffer from UTIs? Like I as a man am unaware कि टॉयलेट ना जाने से या बाउल कंट्रोल मूवमेंट अपना रोक के रखने से क्या होता है. डू यू आर UTIs मोर प्रेवलेंट देन वी अज्यूम कि गिनने चुने एक होता है, या इट इज़ समथिंग दैट इज़ वेरी रेगुलर, होता ही रहता है?
UTIs has a lot of, I mean, it has different causes. It could happen because of your lowered immunity. I mean, after COVID, a lot of people suffered from UTIs, men and women alike. Let me tell you, and this happens because of lowered immunity. अगर आपकी immunity कम है, तो you will easily contract infections if you're going to a dirty loo, especially.
Yeah.
Right. So that is the reason I think it is all the more important to have a clean loo, because it is, at the end of the day, it is an opening to your body, and if there are germs entering through that, and if your immunity is not at par, then you will suffer with a lot of UTIs, and they also happen because of a dirty environment. क्योंकि चाहे तुम्हारी immunity जितनी भी अच्छी हो, if you're going to a horrible place to defecate, then you are going to contract certain issues like UTI, but you could also contact other diseases. So let's not limit ourselves to
You
UTI.
said that there should be a clean toilet. So tell me, for a woman, what is a clean toilet?
A clean toilet is the model pink toilet which Farheen Naaz ma'am very very nicely she described, and then she said that these are clean toilets, and there are only 20 of them in the National Capital Territory, of Delhi, and
Of the largest democracy in the world.
yes, and those are clean toilets according to us. They should have certain standards. You cannot just give me a clean commode and say that okay, this is good enough for you. Yeah. We need everything, right? We need electricity, we need water supply, we need sanitary pads, we need tissues, we need everything which is there. We need we need cleanliness over there.
We need a dustbin out there.
Yes.
We need a dustbin out there.
Which is regularly cleaned.
Regularly clean.
A
yes.
specific dustbin for disposing of menstrual waste or something like that.
Yes, I think there should be a concept of red dustbins.
Red dustbins, which
Yes.
will only cater to menstrual waste.
Menstrual waste, because at the end of the day, it's a sanitation workers who need to deal with the segregation of this waste, and if they deal with the sanitation waste at the end of the day, which reaches them for almost around maybe 2-3 weeks or a month later, that they get to segregate it after going through the whole process of collecting it and then reaching the dump yard, then they segregate it, and they get exposed to many different diseases, hazardous diseases, I would say. So my sanitary waste is a life threat to someone else, which should not be the case.
उससे पहले उनको sanitary pads use करना भी सिखाना है, and वो आप already कर रहे हो.
Yes.
Naaz ma'am is also coming up with biodegradable sanitary pads, which she wants to provide to the economically weaker section, which she's already working towards that, and she calls herself a social entrepreneur, which I think is a great term. Rather than being called as a social worker, I think a social entrepreneur is such a good term, and she's doing a wonderful job of that. Ma'am, why don't you tell us something about what you have done? I mean, we were just talking about sustainable development and biodegradable sanitary pads, which you're trying right now to provide to the economically weaker sections.
Yeah.
Yes.
And before that, actually, tell us what is prompting you to do all of this? Like, motivation क्या है? कहाँ से ये क्यों कर रहे हो मतलब ये?
Okay.
क्योंकि ये general चीज़ तो होगी नहीं. I'm sure there is some backstory, some trigger that has started all of this. And was there ever a bad time when you realized that, oh shit, ये क्या हो रहा है?
So there are 2-3 stories behind. I would just quickly tell that 2019 I started as a menstrual educator, and why I wanted to be a menstrual educator, I started giving workshops within adolescent girls groups and youngsters, and started talking about periods, which was such a hush topic कि बात ही नहीं करनी है इसके बारे में तो, एंड वाई वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट पीरियड्स. इवन अगर गर्ल्स के ग्रुप में भी अगर हम पीरियड्स की बात करें तो ऐसे होता था कि शर्म आती है, एक दूसरे के पीछे छुप जाती हैं, बात नहीं करती. सो सबसे ज़्यादा पेन एरिया वही था कि क्यों नहीं, ये तो एक नेचुरल प्रोसेस है बॉडी का, तो इसके बारे में बात होनी चाहिए. और बात भी इसलिए होनी चाहिए क्योंकि हम शर्म की वजह से एक बहुत सारी ऐसी बीमारियों से जूझते हैं जिनके बारे में डिस्कशन करके हम उनसे बहुत आसानी से बाहर आ सकते हैं. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, नॉट मैनी मेंस्ट्रुएटर्स नो कि आपको अपना सैनिटरी पैड 4 से 6 घंटे में चेंज करना चाहिए. बहुत सारे 12-12 घंटे एक ही सैनिटरी पैड में निकाल देते हैं. कई बार होता है हैवी ब्लीडिंग है तो आपने उसे चेंज कर लिया, लेकिन अगर आपको ब्लीडिंग नहीं हो रही है हैवी, मे बी you're on 3rd or 4th day of your period, you don't tend to change your napkin for longer hours, which is going to pose diseases
Again.
to you. So it's not just about menstruation, it's not just about periods, it's also about menstrual hygiene that one has to follow during these days. So when I started my periods, I was in class 9 and thankfully दशहरे की छुट्टियों का पहला दिन था and वो 10 दिन की छुट्टियां होती थी and I woke up that morning and I just went to use the loo and I found that there's blood coming out of my vagina and I just ran towards my mother and I just woke her up कि मम्मी this is what has just happened to me. वो जल्दी से उठी और उन्होंने एक कपड़ा लिया, उसको सैंडविच किया कॉटन से and she made a pad, she put that under my panty and asked me to not move, to take rest. लेट जाओ, भाई के साथ मत खेलना, बाहर मत जाना, कूदना मत. बेसिकली मुझे एक लिस्ट पकड़ाई गई क्या नहीं करना है. तो क्या नहीं करना है was a trigger point.
Right.
And I lived that. I'm sure all of us have lived that. Not many of us talk about menstruation or periods at our homes. And our mothers don't introduce us beforehand about periods at all. Maybe 1% or 2% of population must be doing that, but not all. And I was one of those 98%. So when this happened to me and there was this हमेशा से एक अंदर से एक जंग सी चलती थी जब भी पीरियड्स होते थे. क्यों क्रैम्प्स हो रहे हैं, वाटर बॉटल ले लो, हॉट वाटर पैक ले लो, लेट जाओ और बाहर मत जाओ, स्कूल की छुट्टी कर लो. एंड दैट्स व्हाट हैपेंस विद मोस्ट ऑफ द ड्रॉप आउट्स ऑफ दिस कंट्री, गर्ल्स ड्रॉप आउट्स ऑफ दिस कंट्री, बिकॉज व्हेन दे स्टार्ट्स हैविंग देयर पीरियड्स तो दर्द होता है या दाग लग जाएगा स्कर्ट पे, स्टेन आ जाएगा और इन तमाम चीज़ों के जूझने में माएँ अपनी बेटियों को घर बैठा लेती हैं. कई बार ये कहा जाता है बड़ी हो गई है अब घर बैठ जाओ. एंड ये एक बहुत पेन एरिया था मेरे लिए, क्योंकि जब मैंने इसके बारे में सोचा, पढ़ा, देखा तो मुझे लगा कि एजुकेट करने की ज़रूरत है. पीरियड्स में हम मे बी वी कैन टेक रेस्ट एंड देन वी कैन गो बैक टू आवर नॉर्मल लाइफ्स आफ्टर 3 days. इसके लिए स्कूल छोड़ने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. एंड देन वी स्टार्टेड एजुकेटिंग गर्ल्स. And in 2019, while I was a part of an NGO, I was working as a project manager there. So I started taking sessions about sexual harassments at workplaces and menstrual health hygiene. And ये नाम मेरे दिमाग में तभी से था because change is something which has always triggered my life. And मैंने डिसाइड कर लिया था कि जब भी मैं अपना कुछ सोशल इनिशिएटिव स्टार्ट करूँगी, सो आई विल नेम इट एज वी द चेंज. सो इट्स नॉट जस्ट मी हु वुड बी ब्रिंगिंग द चेंज, इट वुड बी ऑल ऑफ अस ब्रिंगिंग सम चेंज टुगेदर.
There has been quite a lot of change on that aspect also, like from what I recall from my male perspective. 10 साल पहले शायद पता भी नहीं होता था, nobody used to talk about it, but now I have friends जो अपने घर पे sanitary pads रख लेते हैं and if there is a woman coming to their house, they'll offer it, or like they'll at least make them aware कि there is something like that, you can always use it and stuff like that. But that stigma of, I wouldn't say religion or culture because वही again है, देखने वाले बतंगड़ बना सकते हैं, but traditionally it's always been looked down upon. Periods जब हो रहे होते हैं तो like you said कि घर के बाहर मत जाओ, मंदिर में नहीं जाना है. लाइक आई नो पीपल जो आज भी कहते हैं कि लाइक इफ़ यू आर डाउन, मंदिर में जोत जलाने नहीं जाना है. एंड द सेम आई एम श्योर इज विद अदर रिलीजन्स एज वेल. सो व्हेन यू वर एजुकेटिंग ऑल ऑफ दिस, डिड यू गेट फ्लैक और वाज देयर एनी हैरोइंग एक्सपीरियंस की जो जिसको पढ़ा रहे हो वही कह रहे क्या क्यों कह रहे हो ये?
Yes, this happened recently. So I happened to take a session with the mothers of adolescent girls at a school. And that was my first experience. And I was a little nervous क्योंकि ये पहली बार था जब मैं माँओं से बात कर रही थी. एडोलसेंट गर्ल्स के साथ बात करना आसान हो जाता है, यंगस्टर्स के साथ बात करना आसान हो जाता है, लेकिन जब आप माँओं से बात करते हैं तो बहुत सारे टबूज़ और मिथ्स तो वहीं से आ रहे होते हैं, तो वो कैसे मान लेंगी कि ये गलत है. बट दैट वाज सच एन एक्सिलरेटिंग एक्सपीरियंस फॉर मी एंड माय टीम, क्योंकि जब हम वहाँ गए हमने बात करना शुरू किया तो ऐसी बहुत सारी चीज़ें थी जो जिनसे उन्होंने इत्तेफाक रखा कि दे अलाइंड कि हाँ ये होता है और ये तो आप बिल्कुल सही कह रही हैं, हमें ऐसे हाइजीन का ख्याल रखना चाहिए एंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स। लेकिन जब रिलीजन की बात आई, पर्सपेक्टिव की बात आई, तो मैं ये तो नहीं कहूँगी कि बहुत ज़्यादा गहमा गहमी हुई, लेकिन कुछ पॉइंट्स ऐसे थे जहाँ पर देयर वाज डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियन। जैसे तुलसी को पानी देना, तो तुलसी इज़ अ पाइस प्लांट इन द रिलीजन, और जिस वक्त पीरियड्स पर होते हैं मेंस्ट्रुएटर्स या महिलाएं आई वुड से, तो वो पानी नहीं देते, कहते हैं कि मर जाता है प्लांट। सो रिलीजियस बिलीव्स आर देयर and I really don't want to mess with those at all, because I am
With the
not
beliefs
here.
or with the
The
Because I am here to myth the burst and taboos, and I would want to let people accept them at their own pace.
yeah, naturally.
Yes, we are not here to pose them.
Not shunning
with the
anybody,
changes.
rather I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody in the first place जो जिसको लग रहा है that I'm shunning religion, but I think that I can afford to go out loud and say कि there has to be an evolution of religion in terms of accepting that this is not a problem, this is natural, so mold it.
So this pure impure thing about periods. So अगर एक महिला या एक menstruator, I would say I would reframe my term, because it's not just women who menstruate, trans men also menstruate.
Okay.
So non-binary
Trans
section
men
is there.
who look like men,
Yes, they do menstruate.
Attaboy. That was really sensitive, by the way. Insensitive. I was being sarcastic.
no, I'm just like, no, I mean, I'm imagining ki, like, how will I feel if I'm menstruating, and like it's weird, like it's very weird, like that's how less I can relate to it.
Of course, because you do not menstruate. The thing is that, I mean, Naaz ma'am, she educated me about the fact that trans women sometimes do not menstruate and trans men menstruate. So, however, trans men, they go to men's toilets and they do not have a proper, I mean, they cannot use the urinal, so they need a proper space to actually go and to maybe change their pads and have a dustbin over there. So, I mean, I really have been educated today by Naaz ma'am regarding the basic rights to life and
Menstruation.
and personal liberty for trans men and trans women
So
alike.
एक पब्लिक टॉयलेट में भाई मैंडेटरी चीज़ें हैं जिनके बिना काम नहीं चल सकता। एक सैनिटरी पैड डिस्पेंसर, एक क्या कहते हैं डस्टबिन जिसमें आप सैनिटरी वेस्ट डाल सकते हैं, एंड ऑल्सो अ सेफ स्पेस वेयर यू कैन डू ऑल ऑफ दिस विदाउट द टॉर्चर ऑफ अ अनक्लीन वॉशरूम, जो कि आज की सच्चाई है।
Absolutely. And think about lactating mothers. Let's say they want to feed the baby, and this pink toilet has the space for the women who are lactating and can go and feed the baby. That's also
I
very.
think अभी अगला पड़ाव है जो शायद
But they have thought of it. That's very nice of them to think of that.
Yes.
I think of that, but I've looked at people like, आंखें चुरा रहे हैं जब मेट्रो में सामने कोई औरत क्या कहते हैं अपने बच्चे को कहते दूध पिला रही है, तो there is a lot of structural क्या कहते हैं stigma जिसको तोड़ना, I think it's only the people like you who come out and actually speak about it.
Yeah, so when I talk about impure thing, so I'll just try to touch the religious background about it. So अगर मैं ये कहूँ कि अगर हम वेदों में जाएं या हम अपनी किताबों की तरफ जाएं, तो जब महिला, फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स से महिला पीरियड्स पर होती है, तो पुराने ज़माने में कक्ष हुआ करते थे घरों में, जहाँ पर क्योंकि जॉइंट फैमिलीज़ का कॉन्सेप्ट हमेशा से रहा भारतीय संस्कृति में, तो कक्ष अलग होता था, वहाँ पर जो भी मेंस्ट्रुएटर्स होते थे वो वहाँ रहते थे उन दिनों में, और वो आराम गाहें अगर मैं कहूँ कि बिकॉज अ लेडी who is going to undergo a lot of pain, troubles, cramps, all those 5 days of every month. So they should take rest. They should be on rest. और पहले वो कक्ष घरों में होते थे, लेकिन धीरे धीरे एक बात जो आपके कान में कही जाए और फिर वो आखिरी इंसान तक पहुंचते पहुंचते बहुत चेंज हो जाती है मिर्च मसाला लगा के।
और फिर वो
वही हुआ कि जो कक्ष था उसको एक झोपड़ी में तब्दील कर दिया गया गांव के बाहर, जहाँ पर मेंस्ट्रुएटर्स रहेंगे एंड दे हैड बीन सेक्सुअली एक्सप्लॉइटेड देयर, क्योंकि कोई और तो जा नहीं सकता वहाँ पर, और वहीं पर खाना बनाना है, वहीं पर रहना है, उसको बिल्कुल एक एलिएनेट कर दिया गया उस
Fine, I'm so
environment
sorry.
से।
Like, I am not at all able to relate to any of this. So, just getting it from Ashna, can you like emotionally feel all of this?
Of course.
Because
See,
I'm
the
trying
thing
really
is-
hard, but नहीं समझ ही नहीं आ रहा।
You really need a social experiment. Let's get that cramp belt
Yeah.
and make him wear that.
Yes, I
and
think-
make him experience what do menstruators
Right,
go through every
right.
5 days of the month.
Right. Or I'll just
So
like
you'll
just stand
feel our
up.
pain.
Yeah.
I really want to be sensitized towards it, but मतलब पता है क्या होता है दिमाग में, I obviously feel like कि मेरे को अब करना है, I want to understand and be accommodative of this, something that's very natural, because obviously becoming better as a man towards a woman is something necessary and I can't do it. So accordingly I'll assume कि rest of the men also have a lack of understanding कि हम क्या कर सकते हैं भाई, मतलब अब ये तो इसकी चीज़ है ना, ये क्या करें।
That is true. A lot of people are insensitive and they do not wish to be educated about these things, क्योंकि उनको लगता है कि मेरा क्या लेना देना है इन सब चीज़ों से. But the thing is that what Naaz ma'am is telling us has historically, whatever has happened, has led to today's stigma. Now that stigma is gradually, I say very, very gradually decreasing because of the efforts of Naaz ma'am and the handful of social entrepreneurs who are there and who are working for this. But the thing is, for example, मैं घर पे रहती हूँ, all right, and initially, in initial days, I could not tell my father that I'm down. So once I had crazy cramps, all right, and I had crazy cramps, and he got like Norflox TZ. I mean, he got Pudin Hara for me. इसका पेट खराब हो गया.
Right.
And I got so angry. I was like, why can't I just tell him that I'm down? In today's date, I can, because gradually at home, I have just spoken about this, that I'm down. You know, I have just been outright and, you know, direct on his face that I am down. Don't mess with me right now. Right. I'm just going through
डरने
that.
वाली बात हो गई है। वो केयर पैकेज बनता है ना घर पे, क्या कहते हैं, the girl living at my house is down, be it my mom or be it my sister. There is like a care package जिसमें there'll be sanitary pads, there'll be dark chocolate, there'll be juices, and okay, you're down.
And we all need that.
मैं चुप रहूंगा, आप बस ये केयर पैकेज रख लो।
Right.
अब मिलते हैं, कहते हैं जब आपका बात करने का मन हो, उससे पहले मैं परेशान भी नहीं करना
But you
चाहता।
have to, I think men need to be sensitized as well as women. They need to understand that women do go through certain, I mean, say 1 or 2 days where they are just not feeling well, when the cramps are so bad that I can't get up off the bed and I'm almost crying, and they need to be sensitized to the fact that this happens and it is true. You cannot question something like that कि झूठ बोल रही है, or she wants to just, you know, maybe get off work, or she just does not want to play, or go for PT as in physical training or whatever in schools. Nobody is making, I'm sure some girls are making an excuse, but as a principle, this should be taught to men in our society and boys alike that this is not an excuse. You know?
Right.
This is
Yeah,
something which is
it
happening.
happens, you know, like college में या school में, like we'll see like this girl goes to the teacher and she'll like whisper something in her ear, and like then she'll suddenly go out of the class and like we guys will be looking at each other like
क्या बोला
इनके पास तो है ही यार, नहीं क्या हुआ नहीं,
अच्छा,
इनके पास
you
तो
wait.
reason है ही यार,
हाँ.
जब जा रही है,
Right.
and then like I don't know, some of the girls ended up saying it out loud that we weren't really down but we wanted to get out. तो ये
But you
अपनी
cannot.
टांग खुद
But
काट
that is. But I mean, that should not be taken as a.
case with everyone.
Yes. I mean, that is not the norm, is what I'm saying.
नहीं norm नहीं है.
I'll tell you.
It's a very uneducated thing of me to even think कि इस वजह से अब मैं अपने आगे जीवन में आने वाली औरतों को देखूंगा कि तो ये तो गलत काम कर रही है.
Excuse.
हाँ, excuse ले रही है, क्या कहते हैं, फायदा उठा रही है.
So I'll tell you like a little funny story, and I mean I believe I and my friends are come under those 2% of the privileged population, but even so many amongst us, they were not educated about this. So there's this friend of mine, okay, and she got down in school, and so right before that we were like going for a games period, okay, and kuch hua and she got hurt.
कुछ हुआ मतलब?
Like unfortunately she got hurt from the corner of the table on her vagina, okay, and it obviously really hurt, okay. And then she went to play the games and everything, and then she's like, okay, there is something really moist happening, and and that is out of normality, okay. And then she goes to the loo, and then she sees कि अरे खून, तो उसको लग रहा है कि टेबल के कोने से उसको लग गई है ना. So she goes to the nurse in our school and she asks for a band-aid.
Oh shit.
She's like, ma'am, आपके पास band-aid है? She's like,
so sorry.
And then she said, I mean, are you hurt? I can't see you bleeding anywhere. She's like, ma'am, I'm bleeding down there. And then she just like shook her head and she was like, oh my God, these girls need to be educated. And I think shortly after that, high school mein there was education regarding menstruation. Also, I come from an all-girls school. तो मतलब जिस हिसाब से menstruation के बारे में, it's all chill, you know. I mean, if I'm down, then I'm going to like make an announcement in my class कि किसी के पास pad है क्या? मेरे को pad दे दो, you know. But that is something I cannot do in a co-ed institution.
Or college, in fact. Never heard that किसी के पास pad है क्या?
Yeah.
In
or
fact,
announcement.
I saw this girl at some fest in college once, and like she looked like really troubled. And I was like, क्या हुआ? She's like, nothing, just some girl stuff. And I was like, okay. फिर मैं क्या कहते हैं पूरे ग्राउंड में घूम रहा हूँ, कहते हैं पूछते मैं आदमी से भाई पैड है एंड लाइक थैंकफुली उस टाइम मिल गया था. Some girl helped us out that time.
Great.
Good stuff. That brings us to a game, and before the game, menstruation is an important topic and public toilets probably should now start accounting for that. आ जाना चाहिए. क्या आ जाना चाहिए? एक sanitary pad dispenser, एक डस्टबिन और सेफ एनवायरनमेंट. तो दो उसके बाद आगे बात करेंगे कि हमें चॉकलेट चाहिए वहाँ पे, क्योंकि पब्लिक टॉयलेट का जो सीन है ना वो तभी बदलेगा जब हमें जाके भी मज़ा आएगा. लाइक व्हाट इज़ आवर कंपैरिजन विल बी टू अ टॉयलेट आइदर इन लेट्स से some Scandinavian country or Japan where toilets is not something which is a dirty thing but rather features के साथ आता है. म्यूजिक सिस्टम भी लगा होता है. there is क्या कहते हैं समथिंग टू ड्राई योर एस आफ्टर यूर डन. तो जब तक ये वाला एक्सपीरियंस नहीं मिलेगा, इंट्यूटिव इमर्सिव एक्सपीरियंस, तब तक क्या कहते हैं फील नहीं आएगी.
सो मतलब इंडिया में आप पहले बेसिक टॉयलेट्स पे बात कर लें, तब शायद एमिनिटीज़ पर बात करें.
आते हैं ना इंडिया पे. लेट्स स्टार्ट विद दिस गेम क्विक प्रो को. दिस इज अ रैपिड फायर. वी हैव our buzzers in front of us.
Okay.
I would like you to take them and use them.
Why does it sound like a buzzkill?
Like a buzzkill. I think the topic itself is sort of a buzzkill for many people. Not me. I am really trying to understand. But this puts off a lot of conversations. Like every time it happens. So without much delay and making it awkward for myself, I'll just move ahead with question number 1. Rapid fire है, तो क्या कहते हैं, आपको शेक करना है. Whosoever shakes gets the opportunity to answer. जिसका आंसर अच्छा होगा, सही होगा, they get the prize.
Oh, okay.
या प्राइस क्या है ये अभी मतलब बाद में डिसाइड कर लेंगे. मर दूँ मैं, समझ गया तो क्या फ़ायदा है. Question number 1. When did India become open defecation free?
Damn, I don't know, bro.
Should have told you.
Okay.
And they started this 2014, but 2019, I believe.
2019, 2020, we started declaring India as open defecation free.
ODF, yes.
या बट सच्चाई पता है, हंसने की जरूरत भी नहीं है. मतलब कुछ नहीं हो सकता.
खेतों में मैं खुद गई हूँ.
खेतों में मैं कह रहा हूँ, दिल्ली में शायद 1 किलोमीटर स्क्वायर का एरिया नहीं होगा जहाँ पे औरत या आदमी खुले में नहीं जाता होगा. 1 किलोमीटर का एरिया नहीं होगा.
That is true. That is true.
मतलब आप कनॉट प्लेस से लेके इंडिया गेट चले जाओ, हर जगह क्या कहते हैं किसी ने अपनी छाप छोड़ी हुई जरूर है. क्वेश्चन नंबर 2. In this country, in which river does 1.1 million liters of untreated sewage gets discharged?
Yamuna.
नहीं, यमुना तो is itself a sewage now.
अच्छा. So it doesn't count anymore.
No. यार जाके देखो जरा कि जमुना बाहर के हाल क्या हैं.
Literally, yes.
CND में गाड़ी से भी जा रहे होते हैं ना तो AC फुल करना पड़ता है और वो क्या कहते हैं गाड़ी का सेटिंग बदलना पड़ता है कि हवा अंदर ही रहे, बाहर की हवा नहीं चाहिए. और एक गाड़ी से 80 की स्पीड पे जा रहे हो आप. ठीक है. That's Ganga. The answer is Ganga.
The answer is Ganga.
Question number 3. How many liters of water is used every time you flush? Sorry, Farheen. I think
Okay.
that was number 1.
मुझे लग रहा है मेरा आंसर गलत होगा, उसके बाद फरीन को आंसर देना पड़ेगा. I think it's 12 liters in the big flush and in the usual small flush जो European style होता है. I think 6 or 3 liters.
It's 6 liters and 10 liters for the Indian standard. तो पानी भी अच्छे से इस्तेमाल होता है. आपके घर में आप लगाइए 20 बार टॉयलेट इस्तेमाल हो रहा है तो शायद 200 लीटर पानी इस्तेमाल हो रहा है.
Right.
Save
Which
water-
can be reduced.
नहीं तो गवर्नमेंट ने यही तो करा है. गवर्नमेंट ने सेव वाटर की वजह से टॉयलेट गंदे बना दिए ताकि जो आधी औरतें हैं जिनको प्रॉब्लम है टॉयलेट की वो टॉयलेट जाए ना तो पानी बच जाएगा. लाइक यू सी लाइक देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ प्लानिंग दैट गोज विद इट. इस बात को समझो.
योजना.
या इट्स नॉट लाइक ये कहते हैं वी डोंट केयर, वी केयर अ लॉट बट पानी इंपॉर्टेंट है जीने के लिए. What is the average time a human being spends in the toilet in his whole life?
Depends.
It depends, yeah. It depends. मुझे वर्क प्लेस में कितना काम है.
Okay. In a day or
Yeah,
what मतलब could you just explain?
in his lifetime.
In his lifetime.
Yeah, the total time that he spends in a toilet.
कैलकुलेटर खोलने दे भाई. रुक जा, देखते हैं.
Oh.
What are you gonna measure it with? Like
कैलकुलेटर है. रुक जा. अगर एक दिन में
Okay, so maybe it's 1/6 or 8 part of the life.
no, it's lesser than
Lesser
that.
than that. Many people read newspaper sitting there.
नहीं बंगालियों के लिए specifically but 3 years of his life he spends in a toilet.
3 years. Okay.
Imagine 3 साल टॉयलेट जाना होता है पूरे जीवन में एंड उसको इतना गंदा बना के रखते हैं. Next question. What music? Ashna, have you done your calculation?
नहीं, I think I thought it was too tough and I was like, thankfully these guys just know the answer already, man.
What musical note does a toilet flush make?
Giraffe.
No, it's the musical note of E flat. जब आप टॉयलेट फ्लश करते हो तो that musical melody plays. वहाँ पे भी गाने हैं. Which civilization first had an underground sewage system?
हड़प्पा.
It's conflicted. इंडिया में हड़प्पा माना जाता है बट कहा जाता है कि 2000 BC में रोम में भी underground sewage system था. Whereas in Harappa civilization, the reports say that it was open sewage system and drains वगैरह सारी open थी उस टाइम पे. And ऐसा होता था कि people used to use the toilets and फिर दिन में periodically वो पानी बहा देते थे तो
To flush it off, हाँ.
साफ.
Okay.
Wow, how do I know all of this? I don't know. Yeah.
Your research says it all.
हाँ. You're right.
Of course, you're not experienced to that.
No, I'm not experienced. In fact, to the otherwise, I have a very bad toilet habit. Myth or fact? It's healthier to use an Indian toilet than a Western toilet.
Yes, I think.
You think so?
Yes.
You think
Even
that-
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. वो कहते हैं कि your bowel and your rectum become straight and
Yes,
Yeah.
everything goes
yes.
out.
It has something to do with the sphincter muscle, and if you sit in that position in the Indian style,
Yeah.
then the sphincter muscle makes it easier for your bowel movements. So.
Yeah, you're right. So, सारे इंटरेस्टिंग जवाब मैंने ही दिए थे तो मैं ही जीत गया हूँ ये क्विड प्रो को.
No, that's a cheat.
But so now we are at a stage where toilets, I think most of it has been discussed. The situation is bad. How do you feel about the location of toilets? Because very depressing stories have come out in Delhi itself in 2018. निज़ामुद्दीन में एक लड़की इनफैक्ट 18 साल से कम उम्र की घर से बाहर गई टॉयलेट करने के लिए एंड 2 लोगों ने उसका रेप कर दिया. तो आई नो द सिचुएशन इज वेरी ड्रास्टिक कि शी वेंट ओवर देयर, बट एज अ वुमन डू यू फील दैट इट इज़ एन इन्वेजन ऑफ योर सिक्योरिटी इफ़ यू हैव टू यूज़ अ पब्लिक टॉयलेट बिकॉज ऑफ इट बीइंग लोकेटेड मार्केट के कोने में?
Oh, you know, as a matter of fact, so my house help, so अभी हाल ही में उसका पेट खराब हो गया था. So she went through like a really bad stomach infection which has not been healed even till today. So she told me that that in their houses there are no loos, so they have to go to the government loo in order
toilets.
in order to defecate. And so you can't even imagine a person who has like a loose stomach who has to go every half an hour, maybe every 15 minutes. So she has to rush to the community loo and then she has to come back. And she said that, I mean, you can't even believe what I went through, ma'am. It was, मतलब कुछ भी हो जाए ये ना हो मेरे को बस. So it was that bad.
And you as coming from the privileged part, होता है कि मार्केट में हो और
you know, I mean, Anshul, now you're talking about security and safety, which is a completely different topic.
नहीं.
And this place, India and Delhi, is not safe for women. So
but
no
don't you
matter
think
where you go,
a location of a public toilet would automatically deter you if it's located far away in a distant alley जहाँ पे ना लाइट है और क्या कहते हैं सिरिंजेस वाले लोग बैठ के रात को सिरिंज मार रहे हैं या दिन में बैठ
but
के.
Anshul, my point is that a toilet should be located everywhere because there are
Everywhere,
there are people living everywhere. So
Yes.
so even in a distant alley, I'm sure there are people living around that area who need the toilet in that distant alley. So you need to work upon your safety measures rather than building toilets.
बिल्डिंग टॉयलेट्स बट एट द राइट प्लेसेस. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल इमेजिन
I don't
आप
agree
मेट्रो
with
में जाते हो, मेट्रो में टॉयलेट यूज करना होता है तो इट्स यूजुअली यू हैव टू वॉक टू द कॉर्नर एंड देन देयर इज अ स्मॉल गली, देयर विल बी अ टेबल, गाय सिटिंग ओवर देयर एंड इट ऑटोमेटिकली बिकम्स अ प्रॉब्लम बिकॉज अब पता है टॉयलेट जाने के लिए एक तो वहाँ जाके गंदा टॉयलेट इस्तेमाल करना है. बट हाउ अबाउट द प्रोपोजिशन कि प्लेटफॉर्म पे ज़बरदस्त 5-star लेवल का टॉयलेट ऑलरेडी लगा हुआ है. That will make things much more easier, right?
जो जाने से पहले पूछेगा कि टॉयलेट के लिए जा रहे हो कि पॉटी के लिए जा रहे हो. 5 रुपए देने के 10 रुपए देने.
ये
I mean, literally, मतलब look at it at that with that view and opinion कि why do I need to tell the other person why I'm going and using the loo?
So you think even that is a problem जहाँ पे क्या कहते हैं?
And mostly for a women toilet there is a male sitting over there, not even a female.
Right.
To
तो
answer
one there
that.
should be a female attendant for
Why
a
not? Why not?
female भी है तो फिर उसके लिए अपना जो trans people है they should also have a separate toilet. And I was discussing it with a friend yesterday that ideally in a public toilet there should be 3. One room should be segregated for men, second room should be segregated for women, and the third one should be a gender neutral क्या कहते हैं toilet which can be used by anybody.
I think we're far from that level, I believe, because again there would be cases of harassments within one toilet. Why don't you think that way?
Harassment will either be from one gender to another.
Absolutely.
So if that's the case, the women who feel insecure of going to a gender neutral toilet will still continue with going to a women's toilet which is already there. But the women who choose to now stand up and say ki this is enough, I'm sure fine educated
must
women
be,
like you,
yes.
they will go there and
There is a petition pending before the court regarding a separate toilet for transgenders.
people, yes.
But and there are so many other petitions pending before the courts saying कि भाई यहाँ पे you do not have toilets for women. and in a lot of places, for example, I think
आधे से ज़्यादा toilet
यूपी में
दिल्ली
कहीं
में?
पे मैं पढ़ रही थी, यूपी में कहीं पे थाने in the police force there were no toilets for women. Okay, so we are over there right now. So I'm sorry, I just lost track of what I was saying.
The
What was the question?
disconcert of a centrally public toilet जो
A gender
बिल्कुल बीच में
neutral
होगा,
toilet.
फिर 2 रुपए 5 रुपए का
हाँ,
problem.
yes. I'm sorry, I completely lost my track. So, my point is, there are so many petitions which are pending before the courts, and the courts have been passing orders left, right, and center कि हाँ जी हमें आप data दे दो, या फिर the executive should enforce for cleaner loos. But what I'm asking is, what is the executive doing?
Nothing. Even the court is failing to recognize it. I filed a petition way back in the day. मेरे को कोर्ट से बाहर निकाला गया है. मतलब I was told what is wrong with young lawyers. And my instance of taking a public toilet was very simple. That once upon a time, I had the unfortunate experience of having a girl being harassed by having to use a toilet located on a highway alongside a dhaba. And that toilet had a mountain of shit. And that girl had to use that toilet.
Oh my God.
And as much as I couldn't relate to it, because every time I see a dirty toilet, मैं एक काम करता हूँ, मैं बाहर चले जाता हूँ, क्या कहते हैं उस टॉयलेट की दीवार पे जाके क्या कहते हैं कि अपना काम खत्म करके आ जाता हूँ, like the rest half of the country. I don't do it now because now I understand the problem. But इतना uneducated एक ज़माने पे हर कोई मतलब था ही. With regard to women, it wasn't really that experience, but what the trauma ensued for the entire night after that, which really made me think ki, is it really that big of a problem that a girl is now like the trauma is so real in her head that she can't sleep, she can't get up, and like she's spending the entire night with her eyes wide open and just trembling with the nonsense of having to use a toilet which was already like full of shit.
Oh my God. I'm sure that, nightmares would have ensued after that.
Have you ever had such
I have had that experience, and I just blocked that memory out of my mind. Thank you so much for reminding. It was so bad, Anshul. I saw a mountain of shit. I was going to a different state. Okay, I was going to Chandigarh or something, and I went to the loo, and I found a mountain of shit where I needed to, and I just couldn't. I was like, let me just wait for another 3 hours and find a better place, because I can't do this.
And that happened with me as well. I think a couple of months back, I was traveling to Rajasthan for one of my drives, and I just couldn't find the right train to reach me. Drop
Train.
the train.
ट्रेन के टॉयलेट तो भूल ही जाओ ना.
No, so I didn't take the train. क्योंकि वो एग्जैक्टली वो मुझे टोंक जाना था और वहाँ तक डायरेक्ट ट्रेन कोई नहीं था, तो आई थॉट कि यार सारी रात का सफ़र है, रात में बैठूंगी, सुबह टोंक उतर जाऊंगी, लेकिन वो टॉयलेट थिंग जस्ट स्किप्ड आउट ऑफ माई माइंड. एंड व्हेन आई टुक दैट बस, एंड आई थिंक इन द मिडल ऑफ द नाइट आई वाज लाइक आई रियली नीड टू गो टू लू, एंड माई को पैसेंजर my teammate was there. I asked him, Hamad, please could you just go and ask the conductor where would we stop? He was like, in 2 hours. I said, I cannot hold that long. So what do we need to do? But they had the set routes. अब वो बीच में रोक कर अब वो बोल देंगे now just go, this is ODF available, now use at their own discretion and all those things.
कहीं पे भी जाओ.
Exactly, that's not the possibility at 2 a.m. at night. I cannot just go into the jungle and do.
सेफ्टी कंसर्न है और खुद का भी इज्जत लिहाज है कि कहाँ मतलब इंसान और जानवर का फ़र्क अब बदल चुका है, दौर आगे बढ़ गया है, इंसानों वाली ट्रीटमेंट चाहिए. और ट्रेन के टॉयलेट से आता है, ट्रेन का जो पब्लिक टॉयलेट होता है उसका तो एक्सपीरियंशियल फीलिंग है ना हिंदुस्तान का. एक तो डब्बा बंधा होता है चेन के साथ, ठीक है, और वो कभी क्या कहते हैं दूर तक आता नहीं है. वो डब्बे की चेन होती है इतनी सी, फिर होता है क्या कहते हैं उस पर बैठना और फोकस रखना कि हिलते रहो. सो इफ यू डू अ लॉन्ग ट्रेन जर्नी ऑफ 14 hours or 18 hours and after that you're using a toilet at home, and for if it's a Indian toilet, the experience is कि आप वहाँ पे ही बैठ के हिलते रहते हो. सो मतलब मसल मेमोरी बन जाती है of a bad public toilet in a train to something that's going to keep troubling for you for the next 3 days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even when I got to have the access of the toilet that night, that had no door.
Oh God.
You didn't go.
I didn't go.
How can you not have a
you-
toilet with no door? Oh my
I mean,
God.
yes, there was this dhaba they stopped at, and I just went there and I asked ke where's the toilet, the way to the toilet, and he just udhar piche jaake, and there was no door, and it was not even a toilet, that was just a bathroom. There was no seat.
तो टॉयलेट क्या था मतलब?
वही था, चलाओ काम,
नहीं ये चलाओ
सफर
काम-
पे हो,
ये काम चलाओ
इंडिया में हो,
दरवाजा नहीं है, कमोड नहीं है, तो टॉयलेट क्या था मतलब? कमरा था जहाँ पे
बस, और उसके ऊपर शेड भी नहीं था.
Oh my God.
It was
अभी
like that.
2018 में क्या हुआ था कि दिल्ली की जो म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशंस हैं, दे सबमिटेड देयर स्टेटस दैट नाउ दे आर क्लेमिंग टू बी ODF, एंड मिनिस्ट्री ने रिव्यू करा टू सर्टिफाई द स्टेटस, क्योंकि स्वच्छ भारत अभियान में अब क्या है, म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन टॉयलेट्स बनाती हैं, आफ्टर दैट वो डिक्लेयर करती हैं, दैट डिक्लेरेशन गेट्स रिव्यूड बाय द मिनिस्ट्री, फिर मिनिस्ट्री उनको स्टेटस दे देता है. कुछ फैक्ट्स बताता हूँ जो दिल्ली के आए हैं. दिल्ली में 651 टॉयलेट्स उन्होंने सर्वे करे, 486 वर अनयूजेबल. सिर्फ 25% टॉयलेट्स में दरवाजे थे, तो आपको शायद वही 75% मिले. 44%, 44% had no leakage, so 56 were leaking. 60% had availability of water, so 40% में पानी ही नहीं था.
Oh my God.
That's why the mounts of shits.
71% had clean toilets, और clean में उनकी डेफिनेशन ये नहीं है कि चमकता तारा है और क्या कहते हैं वहाँ पे महक आ रही है तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि बाग में आ गए हैं, बट क्लीन बेसिक डेफिनेशन कि दिखने में वो आगे कहते हैं सफ़ेद था, येलो नहीं हो रहा था. 90% had adequate ventilation facility, 75% were well lit at all times.
So when you said ventilated, did they have roof?
अब
Was there an exhaust or no roof?
एग्जॉस्ट यार मेरे को लगता नहीं है, मैंने देखे हैं क्या कहते हैं. मैं तो मतलब पब्लिक टॉयलेट में गया हूँ तो ईस्ट ऑफ कैलाश में सी ब्लॉक मार्केट में एक टॉयलेट है, और पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है, बहुत कम कोशिश करता हूँ कि वहाँ जाना पड़े, बट जब भी मौका लगता है तो नाक के बाल जल जाते हैं अंदर जाके.
It's true.
दैट्स द लेवल ऑफ पंजेंट क्या कहते हैं.
And you're talking about a posh colony.
ईस्ट ऑफ कैलाश इज वन ऑफ द अपस्केल एरियाज इन दिल्ली.
Yes.
डाउन स्केल एरिया तो चलो गलत तरीका है, बट नॉट दैट डेवलप्ड एरिया में आप जाओ, आप हौजरानी जाओ या बेगमपुर जाओ, ओखला जाओ, पुरानी दिल्ली जाओ. पुरानी दिल्ली के टॉयलेट अब आपने देखे क्या हाल है. और एक तो वो बीच में जो उन्होंने बेवकूफ़ी पता नहीं क्या शुरू करा था, मर्दों के लिए जो टॉयलेट लगाया था जहाँ पे एक दीवार थी ब्लॉक करने के लिए, उसके पीछे यूरिनल लगे हुए थे, और आधे लोगों ने वो दीवार तोड़ दी, तो मर्द पीछे बिल्कुल वहाँ पे जाके खड़ा होता है, टॉयलेट करता है. सीवेज के लिए वहाँ पे नीचे पाइप छोड़ी हुई है, तो वहाँ वहीं से क्या कहते हैं सूसू सारा बाहर रोड पे आता है. And that's the system of a public toilet in
it's horrible.
Purani Delhi specifically.
I went to Tisasari courts. I mean, you're talking about that. I went to Tisasari courts, all right. And the reason why the whole bloody court stinks is because they have open drains, all right. तो मतलब कॉरिडोर में मैं चल रही हूँ,
गुटखा थूकने के लिए उनके पास पीक दान है, लेकिन एक टॉयलेट के लिए आप
मतलब you cannot have open drains, right? But they have. I mean, they do not have open drains.
Delhi High Court has open drains in the old building.
Dude, I mean, this is ridiculous. In the capital, I understand Tisasari is one of the oldest courts. I mean, it was the first court of Delhi, but you need to develop it a little more because I mean, it cannot have open drains in the sense that they are covered by a grill, but you do realize that you're walking through a corridor and you're walking over, I don't know, like flowing shit,
Yeah.
And no wonder it stinks.
No wonder क्या मतलब ये लाजमी बात है कि
It fucking stinks, man.
So ingredients अगर माने कि एक साफ टॉयलेट का क्या होना चाहिए, ब्रॉड कैटेगराइजेशन, नॉट गोइंग इनटू द स्पेसिफिक्स कि कितना एरिया होना चाहिए और क्या होना चाहिए, ये है कि एक तो सफिशिएंट नंबर ऑफ टॉयलेट्स हो जाएं. जो रेशो सरकार की तरफ से दिया गया है वो है कि मर्दों में 200 लोगों के लिए एक टॉयलेट सीट होनी चाहिए, हर 200 लोगों के लिए. which again I think बहुत कम है, क्योंकि imagine one toilet being used by 200 people in a day. मतलब
What would be the plight and
हाँ.
the condition of that toilet?
And for women, it's let's say it's 100 women should be there for one toilet should be
One
there for
toilet
100
should be
women. Then there should be proper running water at all times. जब भी toilet है, in fact 24 घंटे खुला होना चाहिए. वहाँ पे proper ventilation की ज़रूरत है. For women, there should be a provision for sanitary pad dispensers. There should be a specific bin for disposing of sanitary waste.
Or maybe an incinerator.
Incinerator भी हो सकता है, बिल्कुल. Then there should be a female attendant to ensure कि a woman is not feeling unwelcomed into a public toilet. एक एरिया होना चाहिए जो पुराने ज़मानों में हिंदुस्तान में भारतीय संस्कृति में कक्ष की तरह होता था, where a woman who is going through the process of menstruation at that point of time in the month should be able to use that room in order to feel comfortable, in order to relax, in order to ease away that pain and that burden of going through that whatever is happening with her.
Right.
And
That's correct.
that is essentially identifying all of these things. Do we actually have all these things in the toilets in our homes or in all the homes that we go to our friends, to our relatives? I don't think that's the case. So as a start, I think there should be a now proactive movement even from the women that they now should be forcing every man who listens to them कि आपको अपने घर में sanitary pads open में रखने पड़ेंगे.
I do that. Not just because I am a menstrual educator, I do it, but because I specifically want the men of the house to be an active role player in the lives of women they are surrounded by. Because if there's no sanitary pad at my home, I can ask my brother to go and get it. Every time I bring him a cup of coffee, but when it's my time to ask him a cup of coffee, he should go get me a cup of coffee.
Definitely, with ice cream.
And dark chocolates. So, yes, I think this is something, and if I'm not well, then they should know which medicine should work for me.
Okay.
A hot water packet, always a good thing to being given.
Right.
Farheen, do you have like a sheet which a woman can write her requirements, like from the food she wants, from the comfort she wants, to the dark chocolate she'd like, to the medicines she'd prefer, and to anything else that she'd want at that point of time, that a woman can prepare for herself and then give it to the men of the house, the men in her life, and tell ki, try and understand, महीने के 4 दिन है, या तो इसको समझ लियो, या एक काम करियो, पूरे महीने मत दिखियो और अगले के ज़िंदगी से निकल जा, क्योंकि I think I'm sort of getting how important this is for a woman, although I am still not able to relate to it at any cost.
So, there are few things which are basic.
You have a list of something like that?
We just discussed a few, but
Yeah.
then every body is different. Every menstruator is different, and their choices are different. So I think you really guys need to dig deep into it, and it's about normalizing periods first of all, and secondly talking more about it, talking about the comfort of your partner, or maybe your sister or mother or any menstruator for that instance, and talk to them. Unless you talk to them, even many of us don't know what do we want, and maybe you would get us the possibility of knowing ourselves better by talking about it.
Right.
Why not?
So talking is important.
You know, there's this practice wherein whenever I go to buy pads from any grocery store, they're gonna wrap it up like I don't know if they're like giving me drugs or something. Okay, they're gonna wrap it up in layers and then they're gonna give it to me. So as a practice, I always tell them, please don't. You know, just give it to me. And I take that in my hand. I don't even put it in a poly bag or anything, and I take it home with myself. I mean, why should it be wrapped? I don't understand. Why do you have to be so harsh about this? I'm just buying menstrual pads, you know. And whenever, I mean, a lot of women feel uncomfortable in you know, explaining their choices. कि अच्छा मुझे I want a long pad, or I want something with wings, or I do not want whisper, or I want something else. Why should a woman feel uncomfortable in a market or a grocery store talking about this? It should not be like that. So I'm going to be loud about it, you know. I don't want this, I want that. Please do not wrap it up. So I think women also need to take charge, because this is how I think and feel about it. Rights and power. It's never given, it's taken.
Wow.
Right.
Good.
So if I am going to a marketplace, I'm not going to be, I will not feel shy or hush about something. I'm going to take what is mine, and I'm going to feel comfortable about it no matter what people are saying around me. At the end of the day, it's about confidence, right? You do anything with confidence, and the other person is going to, you know, doubt whatever norms are there in his head कि अच्छा मैं गलत सोच रहा हूँ क्या, why is she feeling so comfortable about this?
And the same happened with me, and that incident got me introduced to one of the best quality of pads. I went to the chemist shop one day, and I was on my periods, and there were no pads at home, so I went there and I asked for Sophie pads. Okay, I want this. And because वो दो जन वहाँ पर खड़े हुए थे, और I was on top of my voice asking for a sanitary pad, and they were looking at me like ये कौन है जो sanitary pad इतनी ऊंची बुलंद आवाज में मांग रही है.
Happens.
And seeing my confidence, the chemist in return asked, है मैम कौन से वाला चाहिए? I gave him the specifications, and in return he asked me, एक और बहुत अच्छा ब्रांड है, अगर आप चाहें तो मैं दिखा दूँ. I said okay, give it to me. मैम इतना है. I said but इतना ही, कितने पैड्स हैं? 8 पैड्स हैं. Wow, that's really nice. And that's how I got introduced to 9. And
What introduced to?
9. That's a brand of sanitary pads. And I had a wonderful experience with that. And फिर उन्होंने अखबार लेना चाहा और उसे बांधना चाहा एक काली थैली में. I said you don't need to. इसको ऐसे ही दे दो, पैसे बताओ कितने देने. I just paid for it, and I just brought it home like that. And I think within that moment, I broke stigma, and along with me, the chemist also got an opportunity to talk to a menstruator about a very good product which he could sell to his customers. That's a two-way thing.
It's a
that
two-way
happened.
thing.
Yes.
But cheers to breaking barriers, definitely.
It is
Yes.
true. Women also need to come ahead, and they need to take what's theirs and just say that, हाँ जी, क्या हो गया भाई?
Also making those 4 लोग क्या कहेंगे, उनको सुनाना कि हमने क्या कहना है. That we need a pad, a sanitary pad, and make these things normal.
Yes. I
got a lot of disgust.
I think is when
there was a movement. There was a movement going on where women were posting a picture of their pad.
Yeah.
And I did some. I mean, I like कहते हैं playing around with anything that hurts the conservative. तो मैंने पैड पे लिखना शुरू किया, तो लाल पेन से लिखा is it okay enough, and I got like so much hate from everybody, like, women included, and like this is so disgusting, why you doing this, etc. अब फिर finally it took me 2-3 years to realize कि ठीक है, it was their probably sense of feeling uneducated, or maybe they weren't comfortable.
Right.
But now I'm on another chart altogether कि अब मैं इससे बड़ा पैड खरीद के इससे ज़्यादा गंदे तरीके से लिखूंगा और एक्चुअल खून से लिख के दिखाऊंगा.
नहीं एक्चुअल खून से मत लेके ऐसे नसों काटने की जरूरत नहीं
यार इतना नहीं.
So we promote a red dot on maybe at the back of your palm or on your palm to show your solidarity with menstruators.
Definitely looking forward
You
to
can do that.
I think that fairly concludes today's discussion, which was
one more thing I would like to
Please.
add on. I was reading live law about toilets and the laws thereof, and that is how I came to know about so many orders which have been passed left, right and center but have not been implemented, because implement to execution karegi, and the execution is not really doing anything. I think it's one of the reasons why your petition was dismissed abruptly and said ki क्या मतलब कोई दिक्कत नहीं है आपको. So one of these articles, the marginal heading thereof says, department does not centrally maintain any data on number of courts having separate toilets for women and transgender respectively. this is set by the law ministry. So even in the courts, there is no data which is maintained with respect to the toilets which are available for women and transgender. So I think so if a data is not maintained, how are you going to execute the wonderful things which you intend on doing? अब तुम स्वच्छ भारत अभियान ले लो या कोई भी और अभियान ले लो, you need to have at least a data which is properly maintained in order to assess कि हो क्या रहा है. Data ही नहीं है, so how do you assess?
करोगे क्या?
Exactly. Right.
So that's the red dot. Well, Ashna, I think the fight for toilet rights of the trans people has just begun.
Yes. But it's so essential. I mean, we have just only very recently given them an identity, which is the most inhumane thing to do. To rob somebody of their identity. Ki, yes, I am a woman, but they can't like go out and put on an official document that yes, I am a transgender. So that has only been given to them very, very recently, and I don't think we should delay their rights any further. Like basic rights like proper sanitation, a place to defecate.
Definitely, we have plans for that, and we'll definitely.
And there are petitions which are ongoing before the courts regarding this. Regarding
trans people.
I have friends who are trans women or trans men, and whenever I meet them or talk to them, I get them introduced to somebody, I never tell them, or the person whom I'm getting them introduced to, कि ये trans हैं, क्योंकि वही तो एक journey है कि वो एक मर्द के शरीर में औरत या औरत के शरीर में मर्द, और वो अपना एक feeling, emotion, body, biology
that they're comfortable with.
Yes.
And, yeah.
तो वो उसको adopt करना चाहते हैं. So I have a friend who is a trans woman, so I always refer her girl, and I tell them that she's a girl, and I never ask them to be known as trans women, because वो trauma तो वो गुजर कर आ रहे हैं, तो क्यों ये trans बार बार कहना?
Right.
वो एक औरत बनना चाहते हैं या वो एक मर्द बनना चाहते हैं, call them that, simple, normalize it. दिस इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट. जैसे पीरियड को नॉर्मलाइज करके बार बार बात करके हम उसको नॉर्मलाइज कर रहे हैं, ऐसे उनके बारे में भी. और आज शायद क्योंकि हम सबको नहीं पता, बहुत सारे लोगों को नहीं पता कि ट्रांस मेन मेंस्ट्रुएट, बट once we'll start talking about it, this would also become normal over the period of time, and maybe that would be the time where we'll have dispensing sanitary pad dispensing machines and incinerators for trans men in men's toilet too.
Correct. And
that
also separate toilets for them. So it's
yes.
I guess it is an individual journey for each person, and how much do they feel comfortable being referred to a certain gender or given a certain name. It really depends upon those people, and they need to
मुझे हक है हकने का. मुझे हक
try a trend hashtag on Twitter.
नहीं यार, ये तो ट्विटर समझ नहीं आया आज तक. एक तो मेरे 32 फॉलोअर्स को सलाम. All right, that concludes today's podcast on the state of public toilets, SWACHH Bharat mission, and thank you so much, Ashna, for giving your perspective on how you feel as a woman about the state of public toilets and menstruation. Thank you so much, Farheen, for telling us about things we were not aware of. Going on with the fight to ensure that menstrual education is something जो बचपन से ही आदमी को सिखा दी जाए. For sending out the message to ignorant males like me, जिनको नहीं समझ आए कि अपने आसपास की औरत को या लड़की को किस तरीके से क्या कहते हैं ध्यान रखना है at a point of time when she's going through menstruation at that time in the month.
Yeah.
It was lovely having both of you on the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anshul.
All right, so guys, with that we conclude the show. Public toilets in India is a very sad state. Evolve हो गए हैं, लेकिन शायद ये आदत हमारी evolve नहीं हुई है. बदलने का टाइम बोलते रहते हैं बदलना है, बट अपना टॉयलेट साफ़ नहीं रखते हैं, अपने आसपास के लोगों का टॉयलेट जब जाते हैं तब भी वो ध्यान नहीं रखते हैं. मेंस्ट्रुएशन हमारे साथ औरतें रहती हैं, उनके नीड्स का एक सैनिटरी पैड का एक पैकेट अपने टॉयलेट में नहीं खुला रख सकते कि ताकि कोई आए तो उसको ज़रूरत हो तो वो देख के ले सके. रादर वी ट्रीटेड एज अ मैटर ऑफ समथिंग दैट्स सपोज टू बी प्राइवेट वेयर इट इज़ नॉट. दुनिया की आधी पॉपुलेशन को ये चीज़ है. टॉयलेट, पब्लिक टॉयलेट पूरा देश जाना चाहता है. रनिंग वाटर नहीं है, बिजली नहीं है, पानी नहीं है. गो अहेड, अप्रोच इट. अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज़, म्यूनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशंस के पास पावर है आपके टॉयलेट को साफ़ करवाने की. एंड वी आर ऑलरेडी टेकिंग दैट फाइट फॉरवर्ड. वी हैव विद अस Farheen. Ashna is helping us out with that. With that, we conclude the state of toilet affairs in India. This is a slightly less funnier episode of Adjourned, but let's adjourn it for today. Thank you so much. So during the entire podcast, मैं बोलता I cannot relate to what period pain is. Now I'm trying what period pain is like. Obviously, real experience तो नहीं मिलेगा, but let's see what happens, and then probably I might relate.
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता. How does it feel every level you go up?
Every time it feels like it's coming up, ऐसा लगता है कि बंद हो जाएगा, पर बंद नहीं होता है. चला गया Okay. Oh, what's the matter? Oh. बहुत ज़्यादा है भाई. कर दो भैया थोड़ा सा. इतनी बड़ी बात थोड़ी है. और ये थोड़ा सा भी नहीं जाएगा. नहीं, ये तो असर नहीं जाएगा. This actually happened, like laughing also becomes a problem. No. I tried. It wasn't like it was excruciating pain or anything, but the level of discomfort for 5 minutes also was really bad of an experience. Do I want it again next time of the month? No, I don't want it. Sorry, women. Like really sorry, I couldn't. Understand this until now. That's pretty. बहुत ज़्यादा है. बहुत ज़्यादा है.
यार तू रात को रोलियो अपने टाइम पे घर पे जाके यार बिस्तर में चल भी काम कर.
यार 2 मिनट में शांति से बैठना. बंद कर दे रिकॉर्डिंग. अब लाइक हम
खाना भी बनाना है इधर को.
अरे देश प्लीज यार कट इट यार. हो गया
यार क्यों ऐसे बोल रहा है.
अभी करता हूँ यार थोड़ी देर में.
देख फोन पे भी ऐसे मत करते हैं लोगों से.
क्रैंकी मत हो अंशुल.
अरे इट्स ओके. तेरी पेन पावर टॉलरेंस थोड़ी कम है. इट्स ओके. तू अपने आप को बता कुछ नहीं हो रहा है ऐसे. बिलीव इट. नॉर्मल. इट्स नो बिग डील.
मेरा बस पेट खाली खाली हो गया एंड लाइक इट्स वेरी डिस्कम्फर्ट.
अरे सब भ्रम है. सब तेरे दिमाग में है. एक्चुअली में कुछ भी नहीं हुआ है. सब तेरे दिमाग में है.